Wall Street veteran Bernard Madoff has been arrested and charged with running a $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Congress wants to know what caused the Enron meltdown.
Now, while the collective rage currently is focused on WorldCom,
Tyco CEO Dennis Kozlowski was convicted of looting hundreds of millions of dollars.
This is one of the biggest fraud cases ever.
Their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Find out more on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Is Pepsi okay? A question that's heard throughout restaurants across America when customers ask if they can have a Coke. Many of them roll their eyes, huff and puff, and then declare, "No, it's not okay, but I guess I'll have to deal with it." When they have to compromise on their favorite corn syrup juice. Pepsi, much like Coke, has been a staple in the America soda world for quite some time. There's always been a competition between the two, Coke's popularity slightly nudging out Pepsi. Last week, we uncovered the scandals of Coca-Cola and how they might not be as squeaky clean as they seem. This week on Cola Wars, we study Pepsi, their rise, their shortcomings, and their continual rise. Find out what they've done on this week's episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
Man, slightly nudging out Pepsi. Coke has more than 50% of the world market of sodas.
Listen, I'm just trying to, help them out.
It's like Kleenex slightly nudges out whatever the next facial tissue brand is. I don't even know what that would be.
Puffs, man. Puffs.
Is it Puffs made by Kleenex?
And those in need deserves Puffs indeed.
I don't know either. But also to say, I don't mind a Pepsi. If people are like Pepsi's okay, I'm like, you got Diet Mountain Dew? Because if so, I'm about to make some noises you're going to be uncomfortable with.
That is the most white trash thing about you, is that you like a Diet Coke. Or are you like a Diet Mountain Dew?
Absolutely it is.
It's disgusting.
Proud of my heritage.
It's so gross. And on that note, welcome to another episode of White Collars, Red Hands.
I'm Kashan.
And I'm Nina. And this week we are going to continue our Cola Wars. Last week, Kashan covered Coca-Cola and all of their shortcomings and the bad things that they've done. And this week, I'm going to talk about Pepsi. So after you listen to both episodes, you can decide which side you're on. Are you Team Coke or are you Team Pepsi? This is very much like a Twilight Team Edward, Team Jacob situation. Okay.
And like I said last week, I think most people are going to be with RC Cola.
I think RC Cola has committed less atrocities.
By far.
That's my guess. Well, I, just like Kashan did last week, I'm going to give you a little bit of history on Pepsi and how they came to be. So, the crisp taste of Pepsi first touched the lips of consumers in 1893. It was originally called Brad's Drink after its founder, Caleb Bradman.
His name isn't even Brad? It's Brad. It's Bradham? Is it Bradman or Bradham? Because it says Bradham here.
Bradham.
Yeah, his name's not
Bradman.
His name's not even Brad. Also, you will catch me lacking if I go into a grocery store and I pick up something called Brad's Drink. Like, that sounds something like my homie makes in like a big plastic jug in his fucking garage.
Oh, we used to drink something called Big Bag's Fancy Juice when we were younger, and it was a recipe my friend John gave. But we would always call him Big Bags because apparently he had big balls, but I never saw him.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, no wonder they're second if they started off with Brad's Drink. Okay.
Hey, they didn't stay Brad's Drink, though. They didn't stay Brad's Drink. You'll find out why. Bradham sold his drink at his drugstore in New Bern, North Carolina. Brad's Drink was flavorful, included vanilla and sugar. Bradham made the drink not only for people to enjoy, but to give them energy while also calming their stomachs. Which is why, in 1898, Pepsi officially changed its name from Brad Drink to Pepsi Cola. It was called Pepsi because it claimed to help ease dyspepsia, which is another word for indigestion, and cola for its delicious flavor.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, I had never heard of dyspepsia until this episode.
I have heard of it, but
You would have heard of you would know the official title of indigestion, but that's okay. Pepsi Cola gained popularity, so much so that Bradham moved his operation from the pharmacy he owned to a warehouse. In the first year of operation, in 1903, he sold almost 8,000 gallons of syrup. By the next year, he sold almost 20,000 gallons of syrup. So they were very popular. They were doing so well that they got their first celebrity endorsement in 1909, race car driver Barney Oldfield. Oldfield said that the soda was delicious and healthful, a slogan that would carry them for the next 2 decades.
what kind of race cars are they driving in 1903, 1906? 1909.
1909.
What kind of race cars are they driving in 1909? It's like a Flintstones car. Have to be like run by 4 people just with their feet sticking out the bottom.
Well, when did the car come out? It came out in the late 1800s.
I was in the late 1800s,
right?
but yeah, like no one. There were a lot of this is like Model T era cars, man.
Yeah, they sucked. I mean, they weren't like good. They weren't like NASCAR.
Yeah, they probably went like 20 miles an hour.
Tops.
And your crank start them.
They probably did crank them to start them. However, sometimes luck does run out, and in 1923, Pepsi Cola had to declare bankruptcy. This was partially due to the fact that sugar prices fluctuated greatly because of World War I. They ended up being bought out by Charles Guth, who is the president of Loft Incorporated. Loft was a candy company that had soda fountains. Guth bought out Pepsi Cola for his stores because he was mad at Coca-Cola for not giving him a discount when he bought in bulk. Just like RC Cola, we talked about last week, RC was made because Coca-Cola was it that they wouldn't give him a discount? Was that what it was?
It is literally the exact same thing. Like
literally the exact same thing, yeah. So that's why this guy bought Pepsi. During the time that he owned Pepsi, Guth did change the formula. Coca-Cola did have 3 separate occasions where they were offered to buy out Pepsi Cola from 1922 to 1933, but they declined each time. So they really could have made themselves a complete monopoly, but they didn't do that. And if they had given the guy who invented RC Cola a discount,
they created all of their enemies.
No, honestly, they did. Even though Pepsi Cola was pulling a Michael Scott and declaring bankruptcy just 10 years prior, the company gained popularity and traction during the Great Depression. It was at this time that they introduced the 12-ounce bottles that we love to sip from today. Well, now they're 16-ounce, but they used to be 12. Although theirs were glass and they weren't plastic, so they weren't filling our bodies with microplastics and slowly killing ourselves and potentially giving ourselves Alzheimer's. But I digress. Now, you would think that because of the economic hardship of the country in the 1930s, that Pepsi's sales would be lower, but it was actually the opposite. Because of good marketing and little treat mentality, Pepsi actually doubled their sales from 1936 to 1938. Their slogan at the time was, you could buy Pepsi for just a nickel. So they had something with it like dime will get you 2 Pepsis, that it worked really well. Also, makeup companies I had learned that recently, not through this, but through something else, that makeup companies did well during the Great Depression because people didn't have that much money. So they were buying themselves more small things to like spark joy than making big purchases. So something small like a lipstick or a Pepsi or, something small, or a piece of gum, some ice cream, things like that. People were buying more of those small things than bigger purchases during that time to keep themselves sane. But like I said, they doubled their sales from 1936 to 1938. And by 1941, Pepsi was traded on the stock market. So they have made their way onto the stock market. Now, last week, we talked about how Coca-Cola was racist and marketed their drinks specifically for white people and white people only. Pepsi took a much different approach, and in the 40s and 50s, they started targeting minorities in their ads, making the product more appealing to people of color. The marketing worked. However, they unfortunately used racist stereotypes when advertising, but their inclusivity won out in the end. I found that pretty interesting. They saw what Coke was doing and decided to do the opposite.
They were like one of the first companies to have in like an African American marketing team, right? Like full of African American people who were specifically like on the payroll to market towards their demographic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they were.
Exploitatively, obviously, to get money, but I mean, like, hey, at least they were including them, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's like a, yeah.
It's like, it's better than being
like,
overtly racist, but like.
But also you're only being inclusive for your own gain, not because people should be treated as people. So it's kind of like.
I see a lot of company pride flags in June, too. You know, it's like.
Well, correct. Yeah. Yeah. There's that. Yeah, there's that. Well, the company continued to succeed. They started getting more celebrity endorsements. Joan Crawford became a spokesperson for the company because of her husband, Alfred N. Steele. He became the president of the company in 1950. They were doing so well, in fact, that by 1965, they merged with Frito-Lay the year after buying Mountain Dew and debuting Diet Pepsi, which is my soda of choice. And Diet Pepsi was actually the first diet drink to hit the market in the United States. Something to include about Mountain Dew, people had an issue. Well, I don't think at the time people had an issue, but now people have an issue with how they used to market Mountain Dew. It was definitely their little mascot was a hillbilly. And the slogan was something like, it'll tickle your innards.
That's the slogan, all right. And it still does tickle your innards to this day.
It does. You can definitely feel it fizzing and slowly eroding the lining of your stomach.
Yeah.
But
I love that shit.
You do. In a never-ending attempt to outdo Coca-Cola, Pepsi opened its first plant in the USSR in 1974. Coca-Cola was steadfast in the fact that they would not operate with communism. Pepsi saw the opportunity to go behind the Iron Curtain and give the people what they really needed. Pepsi Cola.
Comrade, enjoy a nice Pepsi Cola. Is cola that speaks for all men, not just 1%.
Exactly. They did get some flack for that, but clearly it didn't mess anything up for them.
Yeah, it's funny because you think it'd be Coke because Coke is the one who is red.
You would think so. By 1976, Pepsi was the largest soft drink brand sold in the United States. That's per their website, though. Their recognition went beyond the borders of the United States. Pepsi scored a major deal when they made an agreement with China in 1981 to sell their product there. And Pepsi has always been clever in their marketing, and many would say that they're one step ahead. This was extremely apparent in 1996 when Pepsi launched their own entertainment site on the World Wide Web. Their site was extremely successful and put them on the map when it came to the internet. So basically they made this website that you could play games on, stuff like that, and people loved it. They loved it.
Okay, you probably don't talk about this, so I do want to mention it briefly, but do you have anything in here about Pepsi Man?
No.
Yeah, I can tell by the way. They released a video game for like the PS2 called Pepsi Man that people like actually enjoy. So
there you go.
Coke doesn't have a smash hit video game, do they? No. Pepsi's got Pepsi Man.
Did you ever play it?
No, but I've seen it's really hard to find actually. I never had it, and it's really hard to buy. It's very rare, I think. So I've seen clips of it online though.
Interesting. As of today, in 2026, Pepsi is worth over $200 billion. It's sold in over 200 countries around the world, and it's so famous that even Amish people know what it is. That's a joke.
I was like, is that a reference? Okay.
Yeah, I made that up. You know what? If you're Amish and listening to this, first of all, that's a sin. And second of all, I know you know a lot of things about the English world. So
they could be on Rumspringa. You don't know.
Well, then they're on Rumspringa, and they're not technically Amish right now.
Is that how that works?
Yeah, you're like English for however long you're on Rumspringa.
Interesting. Okay.
You don't dress Amish, you dress like normal people.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought Amish was like your in here. I thought Amish was in your heart, not in your paperwork.
I Amish in my heart. It is estimated that over 1 billion Pepsi products are enjoyed by consumers around the world daily. Now that we've given you a history of the company, kick back, relax, pop a can of ice cold Pepsi, and enjoy and listen to why they suck. All right. So the first thing we're going to talk about is problematic commercials. All right. This isn't really that bad, but I wanted to just remind everybody because it is just kind of funny. Do we remember in 2017 when Kendall Jenner was posing for a photo shoot while hundreds of people passed her by with signs protesting everything that was wrong with the world? While protesters walked past, Jenner is confused and wants to know what in the world's going on and how she can help the poor common folk with their issues. After a cute boy with gauges gives her fuck me eyes, she rips off the blonde wig that she's wearing, wipes off her lipstick, and joins the crowd of protesters. While the crowd approaches a group of police officers blocking their path, our Lord and Savior Kendall Jenner steps up towards the officers, extending them a white flag. A cold can of Pepsi. This miraculously works, and the officers accept her Pepsi, and suddenly everything is right in the world.
Was this like
I'm not sure.
Was this like with the Black Lives Matter movement?
So this was like a little bit before though, because this was in 2017.
Who's Kendall Jenner? I know who she is, kind of. I know she's like Kim Kardashian's sister. Yeah. I do know that. But if she was on the screen, I would not know it was her. I'd be like, I don't know who this is. This is just some like brunette.
Skinny girl. Yeah, well, that commercial was made and people were upset about it. Pepsi got a lot of backlash on the ad because people felt as though they were making light of all the protesting that was going on at the time and the racial and civil unrest that was happening in our country. I do think that this might have been, this also could have been like in response to like not only Black Lives Matter protests, but also the Women's March was the year prior to that. There was a lot of other protesting that was going on in the country. And people were upset about it. I think it was, it did seem pretty, out of touch, honestly, for the company to put out, and it seemed like a huge waste of money, but regardless, it was not the first time that Pepsi was under fire for an ad that they put out. In 1989, Pepsi signed a $5 million deal with pop sensation Madonna, which at the time was pretty unheard of. This was a lot of money for them to spend on an ad. The plan was for Pepsi to use her song Like a Prayer in their commercial, exposing Madonna's song to millions of people that would maybe never hear it otherwise. The day after the commercial was released, the music video to Like a Prayer was dropped, and the public was outraged. Many found her music video to be sacrilegious due to the fact that Madonna is talking about oral sex, but also the overall promiscuity of the music video and the fact that there were burning crosses in it. Even the Vatican condemned the song. I'm like a little surprised that this is the song that Pepsi went with, because she does say, down on my knees, I'm gonna take you there.
Oh, that's Like a Prayer? Ah, yeah. Come on. I guess I'm desensitized by all the music that comes out now, but I'm like, hey, who gives a shit? They were talking about having sex with like 16-year-olds in the 1950s all the time. Every song is about wanting to sleep with a 15-year-old girl with very thinly veiled, like entendres. So,
but it was okay back then.
Product of their time. It was
okay to have sex with minors back then.
Product of their time.
It's the 80s.
And it is nowadays, too, if you don't get caught. Am I right?
Or if you're rich enough. Although there was nothing inappropriate shown in the commercial, Pepsi had to pull the ad, losing millions of dollars because of the backlash. However, even though the commercial faced criticism back in 1989, it was shown again at the MTV Music Awards in 2023. It's very easy to find the video, the music, to find the commercial. I watched it last night. It was actually pretty stupid. So people should have just been more mad about how stupid the commercial was than the song, but whatever. It basically is like Madonna's sitting watching TV and she's like watching an old home video of her when she's a kid blowing out birthday candles. And then the child, her as a child, like steps out of the TV into her present life. And then she's like dancing in the street with people drinking Pepsi and singing Like a Prayer. And then they end up at a church and there's a choir singing Like a Prayer. And then she's like back in her living room watching the home video again. And she like speaks to her child self and she's like, make a wish. And then the kid blows out the candles and then they're both like drinking a Pepsi.
Oh, they're trying to do way too much. It
was a lot.
That's a crazy swipe to take as a cola company.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, I don't know who approved this actually, because like it's not convincing me to drink Coca-Cola or to drink Pepsi. It's actually convincing me to drink Coca-Cola because this is so stupid.
But it gets in your mind. Commercial. That's the thing. It's mind warfare. You'll remember it.
That's true. Every time you would hear like a prayer, you would think about Pepsi. So, I mean, okay, but I mean, the video is kind of dumb. Now, that was not that big of a deal, what I just talked about. Those are just some like small little ad controversies that I thought were funny. But the next story that I am going to talk about is pretty serious. So, it was February 1992 in the Philippines, and the cola wars were at large in the country. Coca-Cola had a staggering 75% of the Filipino market, leaving Pepsi in the dust. At this time, the Philippines was struggling economically. Many of the nation's citizens were living in poverty, and many people felt that they had no way out of poverty. Pepsi was desperate to get a hold of the Filipino market. They had been pushing out marketing campaign after marketing campaign, and nothing was successful. They decided to put together a competition that could maybe turn the tide in the Philippines. They called it Number Fever. So the way that Number Fever worked was that underneath every Pepsi product bottle cap, there was a number. Every night, the winning number would be revealed on live TV, much like the lottery. Now, these numbers would result in prizes, with the grand prize being 1 million pesos, which is around 40,000 US dollars at the time. I'd still be stoked to win $40,000, just putting it out there. However, to Filipinos at the time, that amount of money would have been absolutely life-changing, and Pepsi knew it. And Pepsi had run a similar campaign, I think in Chile, where this was extremely successful and they made a lot of money and sold a lot of product from this similar campaign. So it had worked in Chile. They knew it was going to work here. And Number Fever was just that, a fever. The campaign gripped the country and took it by storm. People were hoarding bottle caps and jars just for the hope of winning the 1 million peso prize. Pepsi saw an uptick in sales in just a few weeks. Their market share nearly doubled. It was so successful that they decided to extend the contest 5 more weeks. On May 25th, 1992 at 6 p.m., the Channel 2 News announced the words that the entire country was on pins and needles for. Tomorrow's winning number is 349. Now, that number should have just changed the lives of 2 people that night, but it ended up causing a national disaster. Because of a computer glitch, 349 was freely printed on the bottle caps of thousands of bottles. Some say that over 600,000 bottle caps had the number 349 printed on them. So many people were overtaken with happiness at the thought of winning so much money. Their lives had been changed forever. There were reports of celebrations breaking out in the streets. However, Little did people know that they weren't as fortunate as they appeared to be. Pepsi did not know what to do. If they gave everyone with a winning bottle cap 1 million pesos, it would cost the company $30 billion. They tried to bargain and offer those with the winning cap $500 500 pesos, which is about 18 US dollars. So they're like, we promised you 40. How's 18? 40,000. How's 18?
That's crazy. I want to see what is that in percentage. It's 0.045%. They're like of what they were promised. They gave them. They're like, okay, I know you're supposed to give you 40,000, but how's like a fraction of a percent of that? How's that sound?
Didn't do a lot with the Pepsi was like, you guys are poor. $18 is a lot of money, right?
At least they didn't say we'll give you a free Pepsi, which is probably what they do now. They'd be like, "Oops, our bad. You can get one free Pepsi, one coupon for a free Pepsi
for our own product." Of our own product.
Yeah.
So Pepsi actually thought that offering the 500 pesos was going to calm people down. Not really sure how, but it caused the opposite effect. People were outraged, and rightfully so. Crowds started protesting at Pepsi plants and would hurl Molotov cocktails through the windows. Delivery trucks started to be ambushed. Once a homemade bomb was thrown through a Pepsi truck, causing 3 people to die. At another protest, a grenade was thrown and killed a school teacher and a child. So this got really bad. It got really bad. Because of the disaster, a preacher organized a grassroots organization called 349, after the number, and they went after Pepsi. The group made over 5,000 criminal complaints and 700 lawsuits against Pepsi. It was around this time that a police officer came forward and claimed that Pepsi had hired people to join the protests and act violently to discredit 349, the organization, and the other citizens who were enraged at the company. So they were saying that they were maybe the ones that threw the Molotov cocktails. They were the ones that were like ambushing these. Pepsi was hiring people to ambush their own trucks just to discredit the people who were angry and the people that were protesting. Now, Pepsi denied all of these claims and nothing ever really came of those claims, but the police officers stepped forward. And honestly, I don't really put anything past these big corporations, so that would not shock me if they actually did that. When taken to court, the courts ruled that Pepsi had not been negligent in the contest. They claimed that the winning bottle caps did not have security codes on them, so they were never meant to be winners at all. In 2006, the Philippine Supreme Court absolved Pepsi of all liability. Pepsi did have to pay one fine of 150,000 pesos, which is 2,800 US dollars.
Good.
Many Filipinos boycott the cola to this day. If a Filipino person says, nah, 349 to you, it means that you've been cheated. So it like made its way into their slang. Even more than 30 years later, the effects of the contest still linger in the Philippines. The next 2 controversies I'm going to cover have happened in recent past. So it just proves that even though information travels faster than ever before, these companies still act diabolically, even though the consumer can find out information easier than ever before. So in late 2023, New York State sued PepsiCo for their contribution to the never-ending issue of pollution. The lawsuit stated that PepsiCo knowingly misled customers into thinking that they were doing their part in reducing plastic waste by promoting recycled materials, etc. They also misled consumers into believing that the products were more recyclable than they were. All the while, they were using more and more single-use plastic to package their products. The city of Buffalo specifically found that of the 1,900 plus pieces of trash that they picked up, 17% were found to be single-use PepsiCo products. These products ranged from drinks to individual packages of chips, and over 70% of the discarded items were plastic. The types of plastics that PepsiCo uses in their products were also linked to releasing microplastics, which were leaking into Buffalo's water supplies and would eventually lead to health problems for the residents who were drinking and bathing in the water. In 2022 alone, Pepsi had produced 2,600,000 metric tons of plastic packaging. This is more than 7 Empire State Buildings. Okay, that's a lot. They're killing our planet. All of these companies are killing our planet. The city of Buffalo has taken an initiative to keep the water clean because of the Buffalo River, which is said to be one of the most polluted rivers in the country. 62% of voters have stated that they want laws put in place for cleaner drinking water. Similarly, LA County has also sued both Coca-Cola and Pepsi for their contributions to the waste problem in this country. They also claim that residents believed that the products were recyclable when they really weren't. Pepsi also claimed that they would have a circular economy for their single-use bottles, meaning that plastic bottles could be recycled and reused a limitless amount of times, which is simply not true. They were like, no, you can't actually do that. LA seeks to fine Pepsi and Coke up to $2,500 per violation in the suit. We already know that that's not going to get paid, but that's what they're trying to do. This is a quote by City Council member Dwayne Harrison. He says, the goal of the lawsuit is to stop the unfair and illegal conduct, to address the marketing practices that deceive consumers, and force these businesses to change their practices to reduce the plastic pollution problem in the county and in California. My office is committed to protecting the public from deceptive business practices and holding these companies accountable for their role in the plastic pollution crisis. Both of the suits have been filed, but they have not gone to court yet. I don't think that these are going to go to court for quite some time. If they ever go to court, they might just give them a payout. We'll see. But it is really frustrating when, and I feel like we've talked about this before with other big companies, but like the consumer, the normal average Joe is the one who's blamed. You know, we're the ones that are being hounded all the time, recycle, when these big companies are just doing whatever they want to the planet, and they're the ones actually destroying everything. We saw this in one of our very first episodes with, what was that place called?
Dow DuPont?
DuPont. We saw this with DuPont. We've seen this with Procter & Gamble. We've seen this with Nestle. All these, I mean, we haven't talked about the BP oil spill here, but the BP oil spill, we've seen these major companies just get away with whatever they want to do when it comes to putting crap into our planet and polluting the planet. And then it's the everyday Joe Schmo like you and me who gets yelled at for throwing a can of tuna in the trash. I digress. All right. The next little scandal that we have going on just got announced within the last year. And New York, they've got it out for Pepsi. They do. They've got another lawsuit against them. It was filed late last year for conspiring with Walmart to manipulate pricing. There's not a whole lot of information on this yet, but this is what I've got for you. What the suit alleges is that Walmart made a deal with Pepsi that they would inflate their prices at different retailers so that Walmart could sell Pepsi at a cheaper price, making those thirsty customers step into their double doors for lower prices. It is said that Pepsi and Walmart have violated the Sherman Antitrust Act, which is a law that has been put into place since 1890, which prohibits monopolization and ensures a free and fair marketplace. Basically what was happening was Pepsi and Walmart made this deal. They said, Walmart, you can sell our product for way way cheaper than anybody else. They also gave them promotionals, offered them other incentives that they were not giving to other places that were selling the Pepsi products. And the suit claims that this was going on from 2015 to 2025. So this all like within the last couple weeks has come out. So like I said, not a whole lot of information. This will be interesting to watch. This isn't the first time we've mentioned Walmart in our episodes. We actually have a whole episode about Walmart and all the shitty things that they've done too. So check that out if you want to. And then the last scandal that I am going to talk about today, this one is a little bit more fun. Well, I mean, it wasn't fun for the person that it happened to, but it's kind of funny. On November 10th, 2008, a man named Robert Ball got a Mountain Dew from the vending machine at his job. When he went to take a sip of that sweet, sweet Appalachian go-go juice, he found that it tasted peculiar. The taste was so repulsive that he ended up throwing up. And after he threw up, he was like, I gotta see what's wrong with this can. So he opened up the can, dumped it out, and upon dumping out the can, he discovered that inside was a dead mouse. So Ball called the helpline on the back of the can and was somehow able to get in contact with someone. This was 2008, so I think it was a little easier to get a hold of a real person. And he told them what had happened so that they should halt production. Well, that obviously wasn't gonna happen. But someone from Pepsi did show up to take the carcass of the mouse away. And Ball describes that it was like a scene from Men in Black. It was like people in suits in a dark car coming, getting the carcass and driving it away. Ball believes that they did this so that they could destroy the evidence. But they did do some testing on the mouse. So a little unclear of what they did with the carcass, but they came and got the carcass from it. So after this happened, Ball had told Pepsi what had happened, and then they kind of just didn't get back with him. And when they didn't get back with him or try to make this right in any way, he ended up suing Pepsi. And in 2009, Ball was asking Pepsi for $75,000 for ingesting the liquid of the dead mouse. I don't really think that sounds like a whole lot of money, personally. I would literally drink bleach after I drank a mouse. It's so gross. I wouldn't want to live with myself. Now, Kashan, if you were Pepsi, what would your response be to all of this? How would you deal with this issue?
I'm a scientist, Nina, so I don't know. I'd put a mouse in Mountain Dew and see what happens.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I know the story, so I could lie, but I know the answer. So
yeah. All right. Well, I would probably just give the poor guy a payout if I were Pepsi. But what did Pepsi do? Was it that they ensured the cleanliness in their plants and that someone was overseeing production so that this happening was next to impossible? Absolutely not. They doubled down and hired a scientist who said that there was no way that this could happen. Like Kashan, they hired Kashan. Just kidding, they didn't hire Kashan. But he said there was no way that this could happen because the can that Ball drank was over 15 months old. And during that time, a mouse's body would dissolve in a can of Mountain Dew before it ever touches the lips of a consumer. What? They said that this is because citrus sodas have a pH balance of 3. Is that a lot, Kashan?
I'm actually looking. Wow, it really is. It's like 3.2 to 3.3. Wow. Oh wait, Coca-Cola has a pH of 2.5. So Coca-Cola is even more acidic than Mountain Dew. That's crazy.
People use Coca-Cola to clean their toilets, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I think in the 2s is where I'd really start to like worry.
So it's like the less the number is, the more acidic it is.
Yeah, the numbers usually range from like 0 to 14, and then if it's below 7, it's acidic. If it's higher than 7, it's basic. So
well, let's see how acidic pineapple is. 3.2.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Right, like citrus would be about pineapple. Just for reference,
Okay.
a solution of 1 molar sulfuric acid, which is, I know that you probably don't remember what molarity is, but whatever. It has a pH of -0.3. So like 1 molar sulfuric acid, you really wouldn't want to get on your skin. But the difference, this is a log scale, so the difference between 3 and -3 is 3 orders of magnitude. So they're really far away, more than that makes it seem. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's more acidic than water.
Yeah, it would be. I think they said it would only take a month for a mouse if they were sitting in Mountain Dew. It would only take the mouse about a month to turn into a jelly-like substance inside of the can. Gross. That's so disgusting. However, some experts do say that fur would be left in there and that the tail would still be intact. So you probably still would know if there was a mouse in your drink.
But there wouldn't have been a carcass, I think is their big thing. Is he said he found like a whole carcass in there, right? I feel like if anything, the mouse somehow got in there after canning. I don't know how it would do that. Like maybe like the top had opened and it like crawled in and like closed it afterwards, like it went through the top. I don't know. I honestly believe them in this, is that it probably wasn't in the can when it was canned, and if it was in there, it got in there afterwards somehow, and then he didn't notice when he opened it to drink.
So gross.
Well, of course.
This does not negate the fact that this is disgusting.
Of course it's disgusting. I'm just saying I feel like it wasn't in there when it was canned. I think they did prove that.
So gross. Well, when this case hit the media, people were absolutely disgusted. But it didn't stop them from drinking the soda, nor did it hurt their stock prices. Pepsi settled with Ball out of court for an undisclosed amount in 2012. There's many suspected reasons for this, but mainly their company probably would have gotten a lot more heat if it was revealed that the drinks could dissolve bodies, other than them just saying it. So, I mean, I think it was smarter for them to just go ahead and settle outside of court on this one, but that one's the craziest controversy that they have going on.
Except for the fact that it looks like you don't mention it, but the one time there's that, I think I talked about it in a previous episode, but there's a rumor that they at once had one of the most powerful militaries in the world because they accepted a payment from Russia in the form of like aircraft carriers, which is dubious.
Oh, well, okay. I did leave that out. I left that out. When they made a deal with the USSR, the way that the USSR paid them was in like ships and planes, in military, like they paid them in military supplies, I guess you would say. So yeah, that there is that rumor.
Yeah, because it's really hard to verify. So people really aren't.
I left it out because I was like, I couldn't find enough on it, but they did pay them in like tanks and ships and jets and stuff, which people were like, why does Pepsi need this from the USSR in exchange for cola?
If they were given to them, they were old and they were just, it was basically, they just sold them scrap metal, but yeah, if it happens, once again, it is dubious at best.
That was alleged, yes. And it was in their deal with the USSR when they allegedly. Yes. Well, when the fizz settles, we both see that Coke and Pepsi have their glasses half full. Both companies are the epitome of the American dream. Make a company, and it turns into a multi-billion-dollar business. The debate between which is better, Coke or Pepsi, continues. But at the end of the day, both companies are far from perfect and have committed atrocities. To lying about how they recycle plastic, to convincing the public that their drink is healthy, to proving that a rodent could be dissolved in their liquid, We could see that both Coke and Pepsi have some things that they could work on. In the end, it's hard to choose which is one is my drink of choice. But we can see once again that there are truly no ethical billionaires. Despite the horrible things that both of these companies have done, we still will see people swinging back gulps of the sugary substance just to get their buzz.
Man, I don't know. Based off the 2 episodes, Coca-Cola is so much worse. Like,
no, I agree.
They're both bad, but it's like, I don't even think they're not even in the same ballpark, man. Like, no, mine had a whole worked with the Nazis portion, you know?
Well, right. And then did you talk about the thing that happened in Colombia?
Yes, where they murdered, technically not them, I guess, but they're bottling franchisers in Colombia definitely worked with paramilitary groups to murder union members.
Yeah, so Coke has definitely done much worse things than Pepsi, in my opinion. I think honestly the worst thing that Pepsi has done is this stuff with the environment.
Yeah, which Coke does worse.
Yeah, oh yeah. But I'm just saying, like, out of all this stuff, like, I'm not surprised about the Walmart stuff. It really, for me, it's the pollution of it all. But other than that, like the Mouse and the Mountain Dew, it's not that big of a deal. You've had some like questionable commercials, but at the end of the day, I feel like Coke has far surpassed. Oh, the thing in the Philippines was bad. I mean, people did die, but I think Coke is worse than Pepsi in what they've done.
Absolutely.
So I guess I can kind of sleep at night if I enjoy a Diet Pepsi. Maybe.
Thank God.
Possibly.
Thank God that Diet Mellow Yellow is worse and hard to find and has a stupid name. So I can stick with Diet Mountain Dew with Pepsi.
Yeah. And on that note, if you enjoyed our episodes on the Cola Wars, there are more places that you can check us out. You can check us out on Facebook.com/WhiteCollarsRedHands. You can find us on X at White Collars Pod. We're on Instagram at White Collars_Red We are on TikTok at White Collars Red Hands, and we are on YouTube at, you guessed it, White Collars Red Hands. If you want another free way to support us, a great way to do that is by leaving a review. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify, and we would love a 5-star review, and we know that you could do that for us. Another way that you can support us is by telling a friend. Word of mouth is a great way to get people to listen to your podcast. I did it today. You know what I did? The Trader Joe's cashier asked me, "What are you up to tonight?" And I said, "Swish, swish, hair." That's what I did. I said, "Toss, toss. I'm recording my podcast." And he said, "What's your podcast?" And I said, "Oh, it's just this little ditty called White Collars Red Hands. Wink, wink, wink." And he said, "Oh, I'm going to have to check it out." And I said, "Well, we're doing episodes on the Cola Wars." And he said, "Did you talk about what happened in South America?" I said, "We sure did." And then he said, "I'm going to look it up and check you out." So be like me. Promote our podcast to random people that you meet on the street.
They're paid to talk to you, Nina. Okay, don't. I mean, thank you for spreading the word, but they're a captive audience. You know.
Listen, what's another way you can support us? Buy our merch. You can go to our website, click on the merch tab, and it'll take you right over, and you can buy whatever you want. And then what else is there? That whole story really made me lose my train of thought. I said tell a friend.
I don't think there's anything left. Did you suggest an episode?
Yeah. If you hear a white collar crime story and you're like, "Oh my gosh, Nina and Kashan, they should cover that," send it our way. You can do so by DMing us on our socials, or you can do that by sending us an email at whitecollarsredhands@gmail.com. We try to do a fan submitted episode every single season, and we would love to do yours next. Now I think that's it.
I think so.
So, well, thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time on another episode of White Collars
Red Hands.